ជំរាបសួរនាងខ្ញុំឈ្មោះ Nancy ថ្ងៃនេះនាងខ្ញុំមានកិត្តិយសជាខ្លាំងដែលមានលោក Scott Neeson បានមកនិយាយពិភាក្សាជាមួយនឹងនាងខ្ញុំហើយនឹងរាយរាប់អំពីមូលនិធិរបស់គាត់ដូច្នេះដើម្បីកុំឲ្យខាតពេលវេលាច្រើនសូមអញ្ជើញបាយអារម្មណ៍ទៅលោក Scott Neeson
ជំរាបសួរខ្ញុំឈ្មោះ Scott Neeson ខ្ញុំរស់នៅកម្ពុជា15ឆ្នាំហើយខ្ញុំមាន NGO
ចា៎
អង្គសម្រាប់កូនក្មេងកូនយាយម៉ាក់ប៉ា
ហើយនឹងក្រុមគ្រួសារផងដែរ
គ្រួសារទាំងអស់
ចា៎ Your life is an amazing story.
It's been a wonderful journey.
Yes. You come from extreme wealth of, materialist to poverty living in Cambodia. Can you please tell us your story for those of us who haven't heard about you?
I was working in Hollywood, 20th Century Fox back then. Been there 10 years. I was president of 20th Century Fox International. So looking after the feature films, had a very good run. The Titanic, Braveheart, Star Wars, Independence Day, a whole string of films. And I had a better offer to go to Sony Pictures. So I ended my contract and took a 5-week sabbatical before moving to Sony. And during that 5 weeks, I was going through Asia, Indochina, and stayed in Phnom Penh and sort of fell in love with Cambodia. The turning point was when I went to the Sting Min Che landfill. It was appalling. There were 1,500 children there working and living on the garbage dump. There was no one really to help them. And that was when I really started to feel pulled towards Cambodia. And the children on the garbage dump, what really got to me was that they were never asking for money. They were always, som tao rien, please take me to study. And it broke my heart, these 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds in these terrible conditions. They already knew that the only way to get out long term and get their family out was through education. So the first day I was there, I took out one child with their mother and got them into school, rented a small room, $10 a month back then, and ensured that the rent would be paid and they'd get food delivered on a regular basis when I was back in Los Angeles. And what really hit me was that it was so easy to do. It took less than an hour. It took less than $40 a month. And I went back to the hotel. I was staying in Raffles back then. But I couldn't sleep because I couldn't quite get over the fact that I had changed this one child's life completely from abject poverty to putting on a path of education and healthcare, into a house, getting her little sister into hospital because she had typhoid, giving the mother good health care, and it was changed, and it really struck me. So the next day I went down there and did it again. 2 other children were put into a safe place with, I believe, a great aunt. Their parents had left them on the garbage dump, so they had someone to stay with, and that's how it all started. And at the end of my 5 weeks, I was ready to move to Cambodia. However, I was 45 back then, and I thought, I don't want to have a midlife crisis. I've been in the business 25 years. So I said, I'll give myself 12 months, and if at the end of that 12-month period, I feel the same way, then I'll move there. And during that 12 months, I sold everything, my boat, my house, my cars, sold everything up. So when it finally got down to the 12 months, I was ready to move. And I moved there in December 2004.
Wow. Now, I saw a YouTube video where you went to India first.
No, actually, I went to Phnom Penh. I went from Bangkok, Phnom Penh, Siem Reap, then went to India. I was going to spend 2 or 3 weeks in India, but I spent 3 days and went back to Phnom Penh.
Wow.
I cut it very short. I was just, I was so moved by what was going on there. In Phnom Penh's got some wonderful people. It was a really interesting city. And then you've got these children who are living in abject poverty, and the potential to help was just eating away at me. I just couldn't get out of my head. So I went back to Phnom Penh pretty quickly and started the very, very beginnings of what's now Cambodian Children's Fund.
Okay. Many children are at the dump field. What determines you which child to take and what child to leave behind?
Well, the criteria is always the same, and that's if the child cannot possibly get into school without our intervention, we'll generally step in. And if the child's got risk factors, there's abuse at home, then of course they get fast-tracked in. So now at Sting Min Che, every child's in school. My big plan was to have 80 children, and today we've got 2,000. So everyone's in school. We don't take children that just arrive. Otherwise, we're going to encourage kids from the countryside to move in.
Oh, I see.
What we do, though, we've got a really good program for those children that come in. If they are genuinely unable to go to school through poverty, then we'll assess the family back in the homeland, and we will provide them with a monthly stipend and rice, provided they stay in school. And we've got a few hundred in that program, and it's been really successful. So the kids get to stay at home, they get to go to school all the way through high school, and quite a few are now in university, and they've never left their Srok, their homeland. It's so important.
Yes, yes.
So we have the 2,000 kids, and they range from about 3-4 months old right up to university.
Wow. Have you ever run into families who just try to take advantage of CCF?
All the time. I did. In the early days, I got that a lot, all the time. But I've been there 15 years, and I'm down in the Sting Min Che communities every night, and it's rare now. There's a lot of mutual respect, understanding, and our community outreach team are very much enmeshed. So people are much more understanding. There's still a few people now and then, but very, very few.
How do you handle that?
I quite enjoy it now, because if they ask for money, the first question is, what do you need the money for? And they'll say, well, I'm sick. And I can say, well, we have a medical clinic just over here in the middle of Sting Min Che, and it's all free, and the medicines are free. If they say that they owe money for rent, well, then you should meet with this person, because we do microloans, or we'll meet with the landlord and pay that off. So no matter what the issue is, we've got a service. So we don't give money, we just provide services. But as I said, there's not many people that try and cheat the money. We've got too many checks and balances in place. And honestly, these days, people are so supportive of the work that goes into it all. They're really appreciative, and the standard of living's gone up.
Yes, gone way up now.
In our area, it's gone, well, yeah. The garbage dump itself, the landfill moved out, but the people living in the area still, they go into the city, Et Jai, every night, so they go through the whatever is trashed in the city. They take their carts in there. So we're still working with the garbage scavenging community, but they're doing well, and we're looking out for them.
Great. កម្មវិធីសូមសម្រាប់មួយ plate សិន
My first time to live from Cambodia to American, feeling very excited because this is my first time to go there. I want to learn about leadership skills, about communicating with other people.
And I'm looking forward to see how amazing South America is.
It's very exciting.
prepared for Chivas. The first thing is I've been joined the intensive class for English speaking.
I'm also like prepare my listening and also my smiles to smile with all the new people to ask them to communicate with each other.
Some swakom ត្រឡប់មកវិញ អំបញ្ញមិញនេះនាងខ្ញុំកំពុងតែនិយាយជាមួយ Scott Neeson ដែលជាប្រធាន Cambodian Children's Fund. Now, you have done amazing things. I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you.
Can you please elaborate of the different programs that you are currently running?
Well, we have 64 programs in total. Some of them are very small, drop-in areas. Some of the specialist programs, nutrition and things, but I started off with the goal of getting these children who are living on a garbage dump into school. And the longer I was in Cambodia and the more I went down to this Sting Ming Che, the landfill community, the more I learned about why children couldn't go to school. And the obvious one was that the parents needed the child to work in order for them to pay rent or get food on the table. So I put together a program where the parents would be no worse off when the child was in school. So if they have perfect attendance, the rice is free, priority medical care. If the kids have to stay home and look after younger siblings, then we started a daycare program. So the parents who are working, drop them off there, we'll take care of them. And going down there, you'd sort of peel away onion layers to find out what the different problems were, and hence all the programs evolved. One of the breakthroughs, I think, was I was there for 5 or 6 years. It took me a long time to understand the issues that people there had with debt, that borrowed money. And we found out through checking with the families that more than 70% of the families had come in from the countryside because of debt, and the debt was always because someone had got sick. So they're living in the rural area, a child or a parent got sick and they'd had to sell all of their assets. They sold land if they owned it, house, and when they borrow money, the interest rates are 10 to 20% per month. So a $200 loan was $1 a day just in interest. And they can't make that money in the countryside because the work is seasonal. They have no land, so the entire family comes to the garbage dump because they can work 7 days a week, and everyone contributes to paying this debt off. And it's tragic because a $200 debt can go on forever.
Yes.
$1.50 a day in perpetuity. So we were doing microfinance programs. So we would pay off the debt. We'd pay off the lender, and the parents could pay us back at a rate they could afford, usually at 0 interest or 1%. And that made a huge difference.
Yes.
But in order to get the financing, they had to make sure the child was coming to school regularly and no abuse at home, no substance abuse or domestic violence. So it was a good incentive. But it was going down there every night and talking to the locals that you start to understand. And they're like family now. And then looking at debt, the medical care was a big deal. A lot of the kids had sick parents they had to look after, or sick children. So we started a small medical clinic, and that grew and grew, and now we have about 35,000 people a year coming through. And it's a general clinic, 4 doctors, and we cover everything. So the medicine's free. We have most of the tests are done there, X-rays and ultrasounds. Maternal care program, so pregnant mothers who are high risk get the whole program from the time they're pregnant till the baby's a year old. We do training in the communities, make sure that the mother is healthy so the baby can be healthy, and being a huge success. It used to be a terrible maternal death rate, and we started this program for mothers in January 2010, and we've never lost a mother. got a 0 maternal death rate after 9 years. It's amazing.
That is amazing.
It was tragic to see mothers perish, and you'd have an orphan child on your hands so unnecessarily.
Yes. So what other programs do you have?
The other ones, so we've got a number that just keep on breaking down barriers to education. And then we have programs that ensure that when the child leaves CCF, mostly they've been through university, in some cases high school, I realised it wasn't just enough to be well educated, that Cambodia really needed to have some really good, solid leaders, young leaders there. So we started a leadership program funded by, well, part of it's by Tony Robbins, who's a supporter of ours. He has a leadership program every year in San Diego, so 10 of our students get scholarships to go there.
Oh, wow.
3 or 4 days, and it's so powerful. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. They come back and they replicate the 3 or 4 day conference to the rest of the students.
Wow.
It's a very powerful experience. All the students do a minimum of 100 hours community work, looking after grandmothers. They run our food program, which feeds 600-700 children every night. They were working with the maternal care mothers, so they are largely our representatives in the community, because leadership means compassion, giving back, taking responsibility for others, and of course setting an example. So we have the leadership program and we have education. The third program I started about 4 years ago, and I realised that because of the Khmer Rouge Pol Pot days in the 70s, the parents had no real experience of the culture, the family structure and values, just recent history, even superstitions, because they hadn't had much of a childhood. So I had the grandmothers come in to help teach our kids. I call it the wisdom program. And so the children are getting education and leadership, and each group of 3 or 4 of our youth look after one grandmother. So they check up on her 2-3 times a week, make sure she's healthy, rice, deliver the stipend, and at the same time the grandmother talks about the way Cambodia used to be back in the 50s, 60s, where school was compulsory, there wasn't much violence. The grandparents taught the wisdom, the parents went out to work, the arts, the culture, and even right down to superstitions and things. And the kids love it. So they're the 3 pillars. So my goal was that when they leave, they'll be so well-rounded, and they'll be able to affect those around them. Because even though we've got 2,000 children, it's a lot.
Yes.
But if every one of them can touch and influence just 10, 20 or 100 people, then you can make real change there.
Yes.
And it's such a beautiful culture. I just had a fear it would get lost unless people who experienced the good old days, like these grandmothers, were able to teach the younger generation.
Yes.
And nowadays, of course, the grandmothers are part of the leadership. They've done so many things, from Microsoft coding, learning to read and write. They go to school every night with their backpacks on.
Wow.
They've been taught English. They can. They've done swimming. They've been all over the place. Amazing how resilient they are.
I want you to talk about Ye Mao,
98. Isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, we went through. She'd learnt everything. She's been through literacy. Microsoft taught her how to do coding, and she said she wanted to learn to swim. And she was 94 when she wanted to learn to swim, which we'll take them to the swimming pool nearby, let them in for free. So we have every second Saturday we have the granny swimming program. And Ye Mao, she's so funny. She got her swimming certificate, and then she came to me and asked if she could go down to Grand Phnom Penh Water Park, which has the biggest water slides. Couldn't believe it. So we took about 8 of the grannies to the water park. They had so much fun. They're like children again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that's got to change her peers as well, because usually Cambodian have the saying, oh, I'm too old to learn, I'm too old to do this, I'm too old to do that. And here she is at 94 years old, learn how to swim.
She's now 98 and just so full of energy. And even me, I try and tell the kids I'm too old to learn Khmer and things, so I can't say that anymore. She's a great example.
Wonderful.
And it was really nice because they were in real trouble when I went there. They were too old to work. They lost their families and siblings, so they were begging and living under houses by the garbage dump. And these days, we've built 460 homes through the World Housing Programs. These really nice communities where they have running water, utilities, and we put families in there who are most in need, and a grandmother who looks after the values and keeps her eyes and ears out for us. So the grannies sort of help maintain those communities because they understand right and wrong. All the grannies love to speak up. They can be quite loud. They'll let me know what's going on. So we've got 460 of the homes built all around the Sting Che area.
460 homes.
We've built 460 homes, 360 around Sting Che, another 100 in the countryside.
Wow.
So it's been an amazing program. The gated average, I think, 12 homes per community so that people can feel part of the community. And we want people to see it as being aspirational. So if you get your child to school and there's no abuse at home, then you qualify for one of the homes.
Wow.
So there's a sense of pride as well.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing when you go into these communities.
សូមទោសឥឡូវនេះសូមសម្រាប់មួយ plate សិន
ទៅធ្វើការម៉ោង 6 ព្រឹក ម៉ោង 3 បានខ្ញុំចេញវិញ ពេលម៉ោងដែលខ្ញុំទៅធ្វើការហ្នឹងម៉ែខ្ញុំគាត់ជួយមើលកូនឲ្យ បើគាត់អត់មានគាត់មើលកូនឲ្យពិបាកអត់និយាយមកអត់មានអីហូបមក កម្មវិធីត្រឡប់មកវិញនាងខ្ញុំកំពុងតែពិភាក្សាជាមួយនឹងលោក Scott Neeson និង program របស់គាត់ដែលគាត់ក៏មាននៅកន្លែង Cambodian Children's Fund. All these amazing programs that you have, one would question, how do you sustain all this?
Well, we've got a number of ways. One is through child sponsorship, whereby one individual will sponsor one child, and we require the sponsor to communicate by email to and fro so that they become a meaningful part of the child's life. We have 1,500 of these sponsors. We have regular grants, we have the granny sponsorships, and I do the fundraising for the remainder.
Okay.
And we also have a separate unit, which is a child protection unit. It's a partnership with the Cambodian National Police, and that agency looks after all child abuse cases for Cambodia, and that's been a remarkable success. But the funding is, it's partly sustainable, monthly money, the other part I fundraise. And most of it's going into education. We have the most amazing education program now.
Yes,
We've built a science academy. We've got 70% of the students have gone into university. And Velcro, who do the black sticky stuff, Velcro built this science academy. It's 5 floors, and we have, goodness, robotics, engineering, physics, chemistry, 3D printing, everything. So the students are going on to the science technology degrees.
Wow, so amazing.
Yeah, and we have this fabulous education facility. I think it's probably the best in Cambodia in terms of the equipment, the teacher development programs, and it's only accessible by the poorest children. So that gives me a lot of joy, that the poorest kids in Cambodia are now getting the best education.
Wow, it's amazing. Some would say some parents can't even handle 2-3 children. How do you manage 2,000 children?
Well, the parents, it's very different over there than from the US. And something I love about the Cambodian family is it's not just a mother and father. I mean, all the siblings take care of each other. And outside of that, the aunts and uncles, of course, look after the children, and the grandparents. And the thing I find especially beautiful there is that if there's a child crying, a baby crying, a child will pick up and look after the child, even if they're not even related. And people from the US who visit assume that it must be the big brother or a big sister, and it's not. Everyone looks after each other. And when things go wrong, the community let us know. It's very holistic. It's not that difficult. The parents or grandparents or the community members all look out for each other. We have to intervene if there are people selling drugs, if there's child abuse. Otherwise, it's all very much self-governed.
How do you balance between taking care of all the children, the programs, and your own personal needs?
I don't. I don't have any social life, really. I love what I do. The people around the Sting Minche community are like my own family, so unfortunately my day, the 9 to 5 is in the office. There's meetings and tons of email and fundraising, operational issues, compliance and governance. So I don't get out into the community now till maybe 5:30, and I'm there till 8 o'clock-ish. And we have classes, including the Science Academy, going at night time, visit the various families. That's what I love. So I get home around about 9 o'clock. I'm usually pretty tired at that point.
Wow. I have a hard time remembering my 2 children's names, but you remember every children, you know their story. How do you do that?
Well, one, I think I've got a bit of Rain Man or something. I just have a memory for names. But more importantly is that because the children come in one at a time, like these kids, Sokian, who had such severe malnutrition he couldn't walk. And we thought we were going to lose him at one stage. He went into a critical nutrition program. He was in the hospital for a while. And you go through such a journey with each child that you don't forget their names. And their brothers or sisters may come in, and you just remember. And I'm adamant. I mean, every child, no matter what the culture, needs to be special to someone. And because a lot of cases the parents have left, or the father's left, or the parents aren't around or unable to express themselves, I feel like I need to fill that role and know their names and know about them something unique, whether being able to say, how are you doing, address them by name, and how's your grandmother, is she doing okay, or I heard your brother broke his arm, he's in the hospital, how is he, and are you feeling better today, and not making sure every child knows that they are individual, they're really special to someone. It just takes one person to do that.
Yes, and you're that one person for them.
In many cases, many cases. There's a couple of cases where I've had to correct parents about their own children's names, especially when they're twins. I can tell them apart, but sometimes the mother gets confused.
Yes, I bet. Now tell us about her story.
That's him. That's
him.
Story. Yep.
I'm sorry.
That's him. His mother's garbage scavenger. There's no father. They were doing very poorly because of debt, and he wasn't able to go to school. He started off in our kindergarten program, and that's when he graduated from kindergarten and started in grade 1. So that photo would have been from October last year.
Wow.
To get their certificates and the photo taken, and the mother was so proud, just so proud. Yeah.
One thing I notice about the Cambodian children when I visit Cambodia is that it doesn't matter how poverty they are. You can see the smile that just light you up when every time.
Oh, there's so much joy there.
Yes.
And it's exceptional where CCF is. We have about 10,000 people in the whole area, and the kids are so full of joy. And part of it is because the environment, they don't know any different, so the environment is what it is. They don't see it. Their one wish was to get an education, so we brought them into education, and that education now takes them all the way through to university. And the other part, which I think really affects them positively, is that before they had so many adult responsibilities, looking after younger siblings, parents or grandparents were sick, having to work to pay off debt. Once they join our program, all those adult responsibilities become ours, and they have two things to do. They have to study and they get to be a child. And that's, they love it. There are outings, everyone gets to go home for the major holidays, back to the homelands. There's swimming, movies. So they're a very happy bunch. And they know that if the mother gets sick or the father runs away, that we'll be there to support them. And it's not their job at 9 years old to have to go and collect recyclables, keep the family well fed and paying the rent. That's up to us.
Some would say it's easy to walk away, or some days it's hard to stay motivated. How do you stay motivated?
Yeah, it is hard, but in any given day there's probably 10 really sad things that are happening because of just the community we work in and having the National Child Protection Unit, so you see some of the worst of it. But then you see so many successes. A child who's sick, who's walking again. There are grandmothers who were living in poverty and now doing extremely well. Mothers who started their own business, moved into these housing communities. One girl with her mother on the street, and they're just doing so well. They were homeless, they were in terrible state. Now the girl's in school and the mother started her own business again, and they're just blossoming. And that's what motivates. There's so many thousand success stories.
កម្មវិធីសូមសម្រាប់មួយផ្លេតសិន
As part of Giving Tuesday, we're raising money to build new homes for some of the poorest people in the garbage dump area. We want to raise $5,000 or more through your contributions, starting with building a house for the Chia family, who are both very deserving and very much in need of a better place for them and their families. If you can give, please do so, and thank you very much from all of us.
មួយទឹកកន្លែងបោកខោអាវប្រគប់ទឹកនៅkiaនឹងដែរមួយដែរនៅចំតរៀនបារម្ភណាស់ហ្នឹងកូនស្រីខ្លាចគេចាប់ខ្លាចអីណាមួយវានៅតែឯងឯតែឯងទៀតទេថ្ងៃ
កម្មវិធីរបស់យើងត្រឡប់មកវិញនាងខ្ញុំកំពុងតែនិយាយពិភាក្សាជាមួយនឹងលោក Scott Neeson. Most people never find their life's purpose. You have found yours.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, many times over.
Yes. Now, what is next for you?
Well, now I think we've completed the cycle where the first children that came off the garbage dump have gone from abject squalor and homelessness right the way through to now university graduation, and about 70% of those children have graduated university. So now it's maintaining that model. We are improving the standard of education, medical care, but we're not growing because every child in our area is in school. There are a couple of institutions that are looking at the CCF model to see if it can be replicated in other areas. There's a particular garbage dump in India where a corporation may be replicating our model. One of the universities in the UK wants to document the CCF model. Early on, my dream was to replicate it someplace else, but I'm so emotionally attached now to the children, the families, and what I do. I'd be happy to consult and help them set it up, but I don't want to leave Cambodia. That's where my heart is.
Wow. What is your hope for the Cambodian youth?
I hope that they become real generational changes, that they can break the recent history of Cambodia, which has left a lot of people very bitter. There's still a lot of polarisation of the rich and the poor, and I'd love to see that gap close and to be of more harmony. And I really hope that they can retain the culture. My biggest concern is that things like Facebook have taken over, and it's as bad as America. If you go to a cafe or any place in markets, the youth are all getting away into their devices and on Facebook, and it really, I worry that there's going to be the loss of all those wonderful things that made Phnom Penh in Cambodia the pearl of the East. So it's a beautiful culture, the arts, the value systems there. I want them to get away from the Facebooks and all the other media platforms and start talking to the elderly and really appreciating all they've got there.
You have left Hollywood for 15 years now.
Yes.
Have you ever looked back and asked yourself, why did I do it?
No. Yeah. People ask if I ever miss it, and the answer is yes, because I had I was in a relationship, and I had sports cars and Porsches, and I had a really beautiful boat in the harbour. So I miss those things. But in terms of my life, my contentment, my legacy, I mean, I've got no regrets at all, no. I came back and saw where I used to live and how I used to spend Sundays on my boat with friends. I love all that stuff. I would prefer to be on my boat on a Sunday than in the garbage dump. But, it's been so fulfilling. I've seen thousands of children improve. I've seen nearly 200 go through university. Sick people get well again. It's amazing. Even now, it's an amazing experience. Finding a child and getting them out of danger and poverty and into school and seeing them change. It's a matter of 2-3 days. They start to blossom, and the mothers especially start to blossom. It's been, it's remarkable. remarkable experience. I've been very lucky.
How would anyone can get involved?
Go to our website. There's a number of things, either volunteering, trying to encourage more people to do fundraisers in their own communities, because we have a lack of funding around some of the younger kids in education. We've actually got a lot of kids now with special needs, some severe like cerebral palsy and some just developmentally slow. We didn't anticipate that. They're just getting left with us because we would take care of them.
How do you monitor someone that, let's say, put in events for fundraising in their community?
The best thing would be to contact us via the website, and we have all the materials that we can send, the downloadables and the do's, the don'ts, the logos. We're putting together the whole fundraising kit now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're also looking for sponsorship, monthly sponsorship, right?
It's an expensive program. It's for the child sponsorship, it's $150 a month, so it's not cheap. And you have to take on a degree of responsibility. You have to email. We like the sponsor to do video Skypes occasionally, so that the child has a consistent adult figure. A lot of them are lacking.
Okay. How about Granny's sponsorship?
We have the Granny sponsorship too,
How much
which
is
I think
that?
is great. It's $50 a month.
Okay.
I think it's great. I think everyone should have a grandmother in their life, someone who's got that wisdom, that sense of humour. They've got so much they can teach. And I think, you know what, not just Cambodia, I think every country has put, in my opinion, put far too much emphasis on an education, nearly enough on values, wisdom, and what makes their culture unique. And I really think that's a program I'd like to see go everywhere.
Which is why I'm passionate about this, our Cambodian senior as well. So
Yes.
I have a Cambodian senior program in Long Beach that I've been supported quite a few years now. So I was so happy to see that you were finally expanding it to grannies, because I noticed there are quite a few grannies who beg on the street. I still see a few more grannies on the street. Some would say they would rather be on the street begging than to have, to stay at the center, because they would make more money begging.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
I think the best thing is to ask them what they want, and usually get an honest answer. I think most of them would love to have something that's consistent. I think they're worried that they go into a centre, they'll be turfed out in a week or a month or something, then have to go back to the streets again. I think most of them, the ones I deal with, just want to have something that will sustain them through their senior years. It's strange, we do have the issue that we accept grandfathers too, but we only have two. There's such a lack of grandfathers for some reason. They don't join, and there's not many around. Fathers tend to either run away and have girlfriends, or they die younger. So we have, I think, 60-something grandmothers and only 2 grandfathers in the program.
Do you think ego play an important role in that?
I think we really need good male role models in our community. Okay. The boys are dropping out 8 times the rate of girls, because the lack of role models of men who are fathers and husbands who work, help raise the children. We need some good mentors for our males. The girls, on the other hand, know that without an education, they could be in some pretty bad life.
Yes.
Some of you marry badly and you end up staying in the same poverty. So they're very motivated.
So how do we reach out to the young men?
I'd like to get young men to come and act as role models. We're working on a program now to teach them what it's like to be a good man. Again, I still think that's another thing for other countries too. Yes. Men are in flux, what their roles are. But we do, I think only between 5 and 10% of the households in our area have a functioning father. A father that's there, contributes to income, and isn't violent. And, the rest are just single mother households.
Well, Scott, I'm sorry to say, but...
I'll come back and do this again.
Yes, great. Thank you so much.
Next time I'll speak Khmer.
Yeah.
ខ្ញុំចេះ Khmer រលអត្ត
Yes.
ថ្នៃសៅខ្ញុំរៀន Khmer
เรียนมาថ្ងៃ1ម៉ោង
Yeah
1ម៉ោង
1 ម៉ោង
ចា
Yeah
ប៉ុន្តែស្ការនិយាយខ្មែរបានច្រើនហើយ
Yeah
ស្ដាប់ក្មេងបានច្រើន
Yeah ខ្ញុំចេះខ្មែរប៉ុន្តែក្មេងរបស់ខ្ញុំចង់និយាយអង់គ្លេស English ចង់និយាយអង់គ្លេសខ្ញុំនិយាយខ្មែរអូធុងខាងខ្ញុំចង់និយាយ English you all want to practice English so I don't have much chance anymore I'll speak Khmer I don't know about fluently I'll get by
Okay do you have any closing messages for the viewers
No I just I really love being in Cambodia I've got my citizenship now Cambodian citizen so
Congratulations And if they can want to help you, they can always visit your website, which is...
Go to the website, CambodianChildren'sFund.org. Okay. And we have a Facebook page. I have a Facebook page.
And Instagram as well.
And Instagram, yes. And a YouTube, CC Fund and YouTube. With some great videos up there.
អរគុណច្រើនបងប្អូនដែលបានទស្សនានៃកម្មវិធីរបស់នាងខ្ញុំថ្ងៃនេះនាងខ្ញុំមានកិត្តិយសជាខ្លាំងដែលបានពិភាក្សាជាមួយនឹង Scott Neeson សង្ឃឹមថាបងប្អូននឹងផ្ដល់នៃថវិកានឹងជួយគាត់បើសិនជាចង់ដឹងព័ត៌មានបន្ថែមសូមអញ្ជើញទៅ Facebook របស់គាត់ក៏មាន Instagram ក៏មានហើយ website ក៏មានដែរដែលហៅថា CambodianChildren'sFund.org ឬក៏គាត់មាន YouTube video ជាច្រើនបើសិនជាបងប្អូនចង់ដឹងព័ត៌មានបន្ថែមអរគុណច្រើន Scott
ជំរាបលា Neeson Howie